The torchlight painted shadows across 50 faces, warriors, elders, mothers, all standing at the edge of Sarah McKenna's ranch like a wall of living history. In her arms, wrapped in a deerskin blanket, was the reason they'd come. The baby didn't cry, didn't make a sound, just stared up at her with eyes too old for such a small face. "You know why we're here," the elder said, his voice steady as stone. Sarah's rifle leaned against the porch post, close enough to reach, too far to matter against these numbers. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her feet stayed planted. "I know," she whispered, "but before you take another step, let me tell you how I found this child." The elder raised his hand. The tribe went still. "Speak," he said, and Sarah's grip on the baby tightened as she thought back to that morning, to the moment that changed everything. "But first," she said, "you need to understand what this day was supposed to be." 14 hours earlier, Sarah McKenna woke to the same drought-cracked Montana sky she'd known for 3 years, ever since her husband died and left her this ranch and 100 head of cattle she could barely manage alone. The morning routine never changed. Feed the horses, check the fences, boil coffee strong enough to taste like punishment, survive another day. She was walking the fence line near the main gate when she saw it. At first she thought it was a bundle of rags someone had tossed over the rail, but then the bundle moved, just slightly. A shift of fabric, a tiny fist breaking free. Sarah's breath caught. She ran. The baby was maybe 3 months old, wrapped in traditional Blackfoot deer skin with a beaded amulet tied around its neck. No note, no explanation, just a child, alone, laid carefully on the wooden crossbar of a ranch gate like an offering or a prayer. Sarah looked around, scanned the horizon, the tree line, the dust-blown road. Nothing, no one. "Who leaves a baby?" she whispered, but the wind gave no answer. She gathered the child into her arms, and in that moment, she made a choice that would bring an entire tribe to her door by sundown. Sarah brought the baby inside and laid it on her kitchen table. The child stared up at her, silent and calm, as if this was all part of some plan she couldn't understand. The amulet around its neck was carved from bone in turquoise, Blackfoot work, unmistakable. She'd seen enough traders come through town to recognize the craftsmanship. "Someone's looking for you," Sarah said softly. "I just don't know if they want you back or if they left you here on purpose." That thought unsettled her more than anything else. She fed the baby goat's milk from a cloth, warmed by the stove. The child drank without fuss, as if it trusted her completely. By noon, Sarah's unease had grown into something heavier. She kept glancing out the window, expecting to see someone riding up, but the land stayed empty. She told herself she'd ride into town by evening, find the sheriff, figure out what to do, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the way the baby looked at her. Maybe it was the memory of her own losses, the child she and her husband had wanted but never had. Or maybe it was something deeper, something the frontier taught anyone who stayed long enough, that some moments arrived not by accident, but by fate. And this baby, left on her gate like a secret wrapped in deerskin, was one of those moments. By the time the sun started its descent, Sarah had made her mind. She would protect this child, even if she didn't understand why. The first sign came just before dusk. Sarah was rocking the baby on the porch when she saw the dust rising in the distance, not from the road, but from the open prairie to the north. Riders, a lot of them. Her stomach dropped. She stood, clutching the baby tighter, and watched as the line of figures grew closer. Not soldiers, not ranchers, The way they moved, fluid, purposeful, spread wide like a hawk's wings, told her everything. Blackfoot. Sarah's mind raced. She could run, saddle her horse, grab the baby, and ride for town, but she'd never make it, not with this many riders closing in. She could lock the doors, barricade herself inside, but that felt like a betrayal of something she couldn't name. So she stayed. She stood on her porch, alone, holding a baby that wasn't hers, and waited. The riders crested the ridge just as the sun touched the horizon. 50, maybe more. Men, women, children. They moved as one, stopping just beyond her fence line. An elder dismounted, tall, weathered, with silver braids and eyes that had seen too many winters. He walked forward slowly, hands open, and stopped at the gate. "We've come for the child," he said. Sarah's voice shook, but she didn't move. "Who is she?" The elder said, "She is ours, and she was taken." The word taken hung in the air like smoke. "I didn't take her. I found her, on my gate, this morning." The elder's expression didn't change. "Then you were meant to find her." "By who?" The elder looked at the baby, and something passed across his face. Grief, or maybe something older. "By the one who stole her from us 3 days ago." Sarah's heart sank. "What?" "A woman from our tribe. She lost her own child to sickness. In her grief, she took this one, the chief's granddaughter, and ran. We tracked her south. This morning, her tracks ended at your gate." Sarah looked down at the baby in her arms. The child stared back, silent and still. "Where is she now?" Sarah asked. "The woman." The elder's jaw tightened. "We found her body 2 miles west. She walked until her heart gave out." The weight of it crashed over Sarah like a wave. This baby had been stolen by a grieving mother, carried through the wilderness, left at a stranger's gate as a final act of, what? Desperation? Hope? A prayer that someone would care for her when she could not? "I didn't know," Sarah whispered. "No, but now you do."
Sarah looked at the faces beyond the gate. Mothers, fathers, warriors, standing vigil for a child stolen from them by grief. She thought of the woman who'd carried this baby for miles, knowing she was dying, choosing Sarah's gate because maybe, just maybe, she believed a white woman alone on a ranch might understand what it meant to lose everything. "I would have cared for her," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "If you hadn't come, I would have kept her safe." The elder nodded slowly. "That is why she brought the child here." "What?" "The woman who took her, she knew you. 3 winters ago, when your husband was still alive, you gave her shelter during a storm, fed her, asked for nothing in return." Sarah's breath caught. She remembered. A Blackfoot woman, soaked and shivering, who'd knocked on her door one night. Sarah had given her food, a blanket, a place by the fire. She'd never seen her again. "She remembered you," the elder said, "and in her final moments, when she knew she could not return the child herself, she trusted you to keep her safe until we came." Tears streamed down Sarah's face. It wasn't about the land. It wasn't about survival. It was about trust. The kind of trust that crosses boundaries, languages, lifetimes. "You were right to trust her," the elder said quietly. "You did keep her safe." Sarah looked down at the baby one last time, pressed a kiss to her forehead, and stepped forward. She placed the child into the elder's arms. "Take her home," Sarah whispered. The tribe didn't leave immediately. The elder handed the baby to a young woman, the child's mother, Sarah realized, whose face collapsed with relief and grief as she held her daughter again. Then the elder turned back to Sarah. "You will always have a place at our fires. When winter comes, when grief finds you, when the land takes more than it gives, you will not walk alone." Sarah nodded, unable to speak. The riders mounted. The baby was wrapped carefully, cradled by her mother, surrounded by family who had crossed miles to bring her home. As they rode north into the gathering dark, Sarah stood at her gate, the same gate where she'd found a baby that morning, and watched until the dust settled and the stars began to appear. The frontier had taught her many things: how to survive, how to endure, how to lose. But today, it taught her something else: that sometimes the things we find aren't ours to keep. They're ours to protect until the ones who love them come home. If you felt the weight of this story here on Frontier Love Tools, make sure you subscribe, because out here on the frontier, every sunset hides another story waiting to be told. Stories of love, loss, trust, and the choices that define us when the world narrows to a single moment. Hit that subscribe button, and let's ride into the next tale together.